Welcome to Wall Street Confidential. I'm Aaron Task here with Jim Cramer. Jim, good morning.
Hey.
Big headline today on the macro front. The jobs number much stronger than expected. The market's reaction suggests that all that worry about the economy was swinging really was not what was going on.
Well,
this
this
week.
is important. We had swung in the first 5 days of the year to belief that the economy was much weaker than expected and the Fed was out of its mind. Now we switched a mindset to say, hey, look, maybe the Fed knows what it's talking about, but we're not about to fall off a cliff. I always like to see 50-50. I like half the people to think that the Fed should tighten, half the people think the Fed should loosen, which then creates an environment where the profits aren't going to disappoint. I care more about the profits disappointing right now for one particular reason, because we've seen a new change this year. When the profits disappoint, they kill you. Last year, the profits disappoint, we'll say, oh, next quarter will be better. People want out right now when the profits disappoint, so we have to be a little more careful about earnings.
Right, so we've seen that so far this week with Neighbors, Limited, and then today Motorola.
You know, I'm like, the Limited is kind of classic. The stock went to 32 off the Victoria's Secret thing, okay?
Fashion show.
And then it goes down to 29. I was about to recommend it on Mad Money, and then I make my calls, and everyone just says, be careful, Victoria's Secret, which had been the double-digit driver's bad. Now there's no reason to own the stock. It's better to own a TJX or Ross stores right here. Look at Dollar Tree going up so big on nothing.
All right, well, since we're talking about retail, I want to get back to Motorola. Best Buy today, better than expected December sales.
Remember we said Best Buy plays this game. It's now going to go up 4 points. People who are trying to keep it down here at 50, 51 are nuts. I suggested yesterday buying the Feb 45 calls. I double up right here even though the stock is up. Best Buy has a history of doing two things. Disappointing or telling people things are going to disappoint in November, and then upside surprise in January. The fact that anyone is not wise to this really is irritating. Go buy it. Go buy it hand over fist.
But I would take it you don't believe that Circuit City rallying alongside Best Buy today is...
Well, Circuit City's a bunch of idiots. One of the reasons why I like Best Buy is because I think Circuit City, there's no reason for Circuit City to exist. Best Buy I would not do if it were just based on past. But remember, in another 30 days, they're going to be able to sell computers. Circuit City has almost no computer inventory, again, because they don't have any. When I say stupid, what I really mean, that's the shorthands. They don't have inventory controls. They don't have good merchandising. They don't have a sales force that knows how to send you toward more expensive stuff. This is going to be really important when you start introducing PCs with Vista, because people are going to be scared that maybe their PC won't be able to handle Vista. Maybe their PC needs more memory. If they want to upgrade into Vista, you're going to need to have someone say, listen,
money to upgrade, yeah.
Yes, I need to buy a Seagate drive. You don't go to Circuit City to buy a Seagate drive. You figure they don't know jack. You go to Circuit City to get the lowest price, Samsung versus Lucky G.
Right. Since we're talking about tech, I want to circle back to Motorola's. The warning yesterday, big rally in tech stocks.
All right, let me give you the insight, the Wall Street Confidential insight to Motorola. No one's seen Xander in a long time. He's missed a bunch of meetings. He leaves early. There's obviously a problem. Xander joins the list of people.
He could do no wrong the first year he was there,
Well,
right?
He used to be there.
And now
I think Xander's got a semi problem.
Checked out?
Yeah, I think, like, if I didn't know any better, I'd say something's wrong with Xander. I mean, that's, yeah.
Like physically or health-wise
yes,
or something?
Yes, exactly. That something's wrong with him.
Interesting.
But nice man, too, which is a shame.
Does the Motorola warning, does that spill over into the broader tech sector today?
Look, I would be, no, I hate cell phones. And I don't like Nokia, especially with a wounded Motorola. But, I mean, I always say to myself, when I see Motorola doing badly, just sell the component players, or be careful of the component players if they have other things going. For instance, Texas Instruments had already told you things are going to be bad. Texas Instruments also has DLP. But I can't own Texan. I don't need to sell it. But I can't have a new reason to buy it. But I would take a hard look at Apple and buy Apple here. Notice the real tell is that Hewlett-Packard's up today. So just,
Right, you did a video piece earlier this morning saying that the put buying is over.
Oh, well, they tried to force it down. I mean, look, if I were a hedge fund manager, the first thing I would do is I would buy as many puts as possible in everything tech, and then I would just pick up the phone, call everybody and say tech's bad. But it's hard to do because the quarters are going to be so good away from Motorola. And remember, Motorola has become a serially challenged company. The October quarter was good for a lot of tech companies except for Motorola. That should have told you right then and there that it was no good.
Right. One of the first Wall Street Confidentials we did, you talked about the need for consolidation in the cell phone space because they're just killing each other.
Yeah, well,
do you think this pushes us closer to that?
Well, look, what people don't realize is it's not a demand-supply situation. It's a customer situation. Bell South merges with AT&T. Singular now totally under control. Look, there's Singular and there's Verizon Wireless. You can get those guys in a room and they can now fix price against cell phones. Would they really do that? Of course not, but this is Wall Street Confidential. I'd like to tell you what they really do.
What they should do.
Well, you pick up the phone. I mean, if you're Whitaker, you pick up you go to a trade show. with Siedenberg. You just say, hey man, let's put the wood to Motorola rather than just trying to, instead of football Motorola to try to get the best price. Let's just say to Motorola, from now on you give us the phones for free because you're a bunch of idiots, and that can happen.
Okay, and last thing I did want to ask you about, I mentioned Neighbors before. ConocoPhillips had some disappointing news out yesterday.
That's really bad.
The energy patch getting slaughtered first couple of days of the year.
The roughest thing is that the stocks are still up substantially from where we were when we were at this level last time. But I would also tell you that if you really want to bet on 70-degree weather for the rest of the winter, then you just might as well go work with Al Gore's hedge fund.
All right. With Wall Street Confidential, I'm Aaron Task. Thanks very much, Jim. Stay tuned for more of TheStreet.com TV.